In 1971, under the blazing lights of Bangkok, an undefeated Thai kickboxing queen stepped forward with absolute confidence. She had crushed every opponent in her path. Stadiums feared her name. Promoters protected their champions from her power. But on this night, she didn't call out just anyone. She challenged Bruce Lee. The crowd laughed at first. Some booed. Others leaned forward in silence. They believed they were about to witness a humiliation. After all, this was Thailand, the kingdom of Muay Thai. And she was untouchable. But what they didn't understand was that Bruce Lee wasn't just another fighter stepping into foreign territory. He was a storm in human form. What happened next in that Bangkok showdown would leave the arena speechless and turn doubt into disbelief. She was not simply a champion. She was a phenomenon born from the relentless rhythm of Thailand's fight culture. Long before whispers of a showdown with Bruce Lee ever echoed through Bangkok, she had already built a legacy brick by brick inside the roaring stadiums of the city. From a young age, her world was forged in discipline, ritual, and the unforgiving grind of Muay Thai training camps. While other children chased ordinary dreams, she chased impact, the thud of shin against heavy bag, the crack of glove against pad, the sharp exhale of opponents folding under pressure. Bangkok in the late 1960s and early 1970s was not a place that handed glory to anyone easily. The fight scene was raw, proud, and deeply rooted in tradition. Muay Thai was more than a sport. It was identity, heritage, and national pride stitched into sweat and ceremony. For a woman to step into that world and demand recognition required more than talent. It demanded audacity. She possessed that in abundance. Her early fights were treated as curiosities by some promoters. Crowds arrived skeptical, unsure whether to take her seriously. That doubt never lasted long. The first time spectators witnessed her timing, precise as a blade, and her kicks landing with punishing authority, the tone shifted. She didn't fight defensively to survive. She fought to dominate. Her elbows cut through guards. Her knees crashed into ribs. Her footwork was not frantic, it was calculated. Every strike carried intention. Victory followed victory. Opponents changed, but the outcome remained the same. Some were veterans with years of stadium experience. Others were rising prospects eager to claim her scalp and earn instant fame. None succeeded. She dismantled aggressive fighters with counters. She broke patient tacticians with relentless pressure. She absorbed punishment without flinching and returned it doubled. The aura began to grow. Soon, promoters no longer marketed her as a novelty. They marketed her as a spectacle. Posters carried her name boldly. Fans began arriving specifically to watch her perform. In training camps across the city, young fighters studied her combinations. She blended traditional Muay Thai fundamentals with an instinctive creativity that made her unpredictable. She could switch tempo without warning. Slow and methodical one moment, explosive and overwhelming the next. Her undefeated record became more than a statistic. It became mythology. Each defense of her reputation deepened the legend. Stories spread beyond Bangkok into other provinces. Travelers carried tales of the fierce queen who ruled the ring. Some exaggerated her power, others spoke of her composure, claiming she never appeared rattled even under heavy assault. Both descriptions held truth. The mental edge she carried was perhaps her most dangerous weapon. Before fights, while opponents paced or shadowboxed anxiously, she remained still, calm, focused. When the traditional music began and she performed the ceremonial dance, there was no showmanship for cameras, only ritual, respect, and quiet confidence. She understood something fundamental. Fear could infect an opponent long before the first strike landed. Training for her was merciless. Dawn road work through humid Bangkok streets hardened her lungs. Hours on pads refined her accuracy. Clinch sessions left bruises blooming across arms and shoulders. She demanded more rounds than scheduled. If fatigue crept in, she treated it like an enemy to be eliminated. Coaches learned quickly that pushing her required no encouragement. She pushed herself beyond instruction. As her dominance continued, whispers started to circulate among promoters and journalists. Who could truly test her? Local contenders had fallen. Regional challengers had failed. The question of international competition emerged. Thailand's fight community held pride close to its chest, and she embodied that pride. If a foreign fighter dared step into her arena, it would not be merely a match, it would be a statement. Her style reflected the core principles of Muay Thai: balance, timing, and devastating efficiency. She did not waste movement. She read patterns. When an opponent overcommitted, her counters arrived instantly. When they hesitated, she advanced with suffocating pressure. Her kicks to the body wore down resistance like erosion against stone. By later rounds, many adversaries were surviving rather than competing. Media attention intensified. Interviews captured her speaking plainly, without arrogance. She credited her trainers, her family, her country. Yet beneath that humility lived unmistakable fire. She did not enter fights to entertain critics. She entered to prove superiority. That drive resonated with fans who saw in her not rebellion against tradition, but evolution within it. Stadium crowds grew louder with each appearance. Chants of her name rolled through the stands. Children mimicked her combinations outside arenas. Vendors sold programs featuring her image mid-kick frozen in dynamic motion. She had become both athlete and symbol, a testament to what relentless dedication could achieve. Opponents began studying her obsessively, searching for weakness. Some targeted her legs early, hoping to slow her mobility. Others tried clinch-heavy strategies to sap her energy. She adapted every time. If leg kicks came, she checked and countered. If clinch battles intensified, she delivered knees with surgical brutality. Adjustments were made mid-fight, sometimes mid-exchange. Her undefeated streak placed a target squarely on her back. Every challenger trained as if preparing for war. She welcomed it. Pressure did not intimidate her. It sharpened her. The greater the expectation, the more focused she became. In quiet moments before entering the ring, she visualized outcomes, not vague hope, but precise sequences of movement and response. By 1971, her reputation had reached a peak where novelty had long faded and only dominance remained. Bangkok's fight community spoke of her with reverence. Promoters protected her bouts carefully, ensuring worthy challengers to preserve credibility. She was no longer climbing toward greatness. She stood firmly within it. And yet, champions often confront a paradox. When you conquer everyone within your domain, ambition begins searching beyond borders. Stories of foreign martial artists performing demonstrations across Asia circulated widely during that era. Exhibitions blending philosophy with combat sparked curiosity. Conversations in gyms and stadium corridors began including a new name, Bruce Lee. At first it was idle talk. A cinematic figure, a martial artist known for speed and charisma. But speculation can evolve into challenge when pride intersects with opportunity. She had spent years defending Thailand's honor inside its most sacred fighting grounds. If an outsider claimed revolutionary skill, what better test than the undefeated Queen of Bangkok? The idea did not emerge from insecurity. It rose from confidence. She had measured herself against the best available and prevailed every time. Why? Stop there. If martial arts were truly universal, then let universality be tested under the lights where she reigned supreme. Her rise had not been accidental, nor gifted by favoritism. It was carved through sweat, bruises, and unwavering belief. Each victory built foundation beneath her legend. Each training session reinforced discipline that others only admired from distance. By the time 1971 arrived, she was not chasing validation. She embodied it. Crowds trusted her to deliver intensity. Opponents feared her precision. Promoters relied on her drawing power. Young fighters aspired to her composure. She had become the axis around which a portion of Bangkok's fight culture revolved, and when murmurs of a potential confrontation with Bruce Lee grew louder, they did not sound like reckless noise. They sounded inevitable. Because champions who dominate their domain eventually confront the question that defines legacy. What happens when unstoppable force meets unfamiliar style inside the same ring? The year was 1971, and Bangkok was alive with whispers that refused to fade. Inside the beating heart of Thailand's fight capital, Conversations shifted from routine matchups to something far more electrifying, a challenge that felt almost impossible to imagine. An undefeated Muay Thai queen, forged in the brutal stadium wars of her homeland, had set her sights on a man whose reputation traveled faster than rumor itself, Bruce Lee. At first, it sounded like exaggeration. Fighters call out rivals all the time. Promoters tease unlikely matchups to stir excitement. But this felt different. This wasn't a local contender chasing headlines. This was a reigning symbol of Thai dominance daring to test an international martial arts icon. The audacity alone was enough to shake the city. Bangkok in that era was fiercely protective of Muay Thai. The art was sacred, steeped in ritual and pride. Every fight inside its legendary stadiums was more than sport. It was tradition defended through sweat and willpower. And here stood the undefeated queen, a living embodiment of that tradition, publicly expressing her willingness to face a man known for his lightning speed and philosophical approach to combat. Bruce Lee's presence in Asia had already created waves. Demonstrations of his explosive strikes and unconventional methods left audiences stunned. He spoke of efficiency, directness, and freedom from rigid styles. To many young martial artists, he represented evolution. To purists, he represented disruption. The thought of him stepping into a Muay Thai stronghold was enough to spark debate in every training camp across the city. When word spread that a Bangkok match was being discussed, the atmosphere shifted from curiosity to anticipation. Promoters sensed history. Journalists sharpened their questions. Fans argued passionately in tea houses and outside gym doors. Could the precision and devastating simplicity of Muay Thai withstand the speed and unpredictability Bruce Lee was famous for? Or would this be the night tradition proved immovable? The undefeated queen did not issue her challenge with theatrics. There was no wild boasting, no desperate plea for attention. Her confidence spoke quietly, but firmly. She had defeated every opponent placed before her. She had carried the weight of expectation and never faltered. If a martial artist claimed revolutionary superiority, then let it be tested where she ruled. For Bruce Lee, stepping into Bangkok's fight scene meant more than a physical contest. It meant entering a cultural fortress. Thailand's crowds were known for their intensity. They did not offer polite applause to outsiders. Respect was earned through performance, not reputation. If he accepted, he would face not only a champion, but an arena determined to defend its own. The build-up alone created electricity. Imagined scenarios played out in the minds of fans. Her crushing leg kicks against his legendary speed. Her clinch dominance against his close-range striking philosophy. Every stylistic difference became fuel for speculation. Radios discussed it. Fight posters hinted at possibility. The city buzzed as if waiting for a storm to break. Training camps grew quieter, but more focused. The queen intensified her preparation. Sparring sessions became sharper. Conditioning rounds extended longer. She understood that this would not be an ordinary bout. Bruce Lee was known for studying opponents meticulously. If he entered her world, he would arrive prepared. Meanwhile, Bruce Lee's aura only grew. Stories of his reflexes spread like wildfire. Tales of one-inch punches and blinding combinations captivated audiences. Some dismissed them as myth. Others swore by first-hand experience. Whether exaggerated or not, they added mystique to the impending clash. What made this challenge explosive was not hostility. It was contrast. She represented a deeply rooted national fighting system built on centuries of battlefield evolution. He represented personal expression, adaptation, and breaking boundaries. The collision symbolized more than two fighters meeting in a ring. It symbolized tradition confronting transformation. As days passed, anticipation tightened like a drawn bowstring. Bangkok's fight community felt on edge. Pride was involved, legacy was involved, and neither side appeared willing to retreat. The undefeated queen stood ready to defend her dominance on home soil. Bruce Lee stood as a figure who had never backed away from testing his philosophy against reality. When the possibility of the showdown became tangible, the city understood that this was no ordinary event. It was a moment that could redefine perception. If she prevailed, it would reinforce Muay Thai's supremacy against any outsider. If he prevailed, it would validate his belief that true martial arts transcended rigid systems. The challenge had done what no single fight in years had accomplished. It unified and divided the community at the same time. Every conversation led back to the same question. What would happen when Bangkok's undefeated queen met Bruce Lee under those lights? The tension didn't fade. It deepened. And the closer the moment seemed, the more certain one truth became. This was no longer rumor. It was a showdown capable of shaking the very foundation of how martial arts were understood in 1971. From the moment he stepped into the atmosphere of doubt and pride, it was clear this would not be an ordinary contest. Bangkok's crowd carried loyalty in their voices, and their faith belonged to the undefeated queen who had defended their honor time and again. Yet standing across from her was a man who had built his name on defying expectation, Bruce Lee. He did not enter with elaborate ceremony or visible tension. He entered with stillness. What separated Bruce Lee from many fighters of his era was not simply speed or strength, it was perception. While others focused on techniques, he focused on principles: distance, timing, economy of motion. He observed, before acting. Where most saw a clash of styles, he saw patterns waiting to be disrupted. As the energy inside the arena tightened, the contrast between them became sharper. The undefeated queen stood rooted in the traditions of Muay Thai: balanced stance, guarded posture, weapons primed, shins, elbows, knees. Her approach was structured but devastatingly effective. She had dismantled opponents with rhythm and pressure. She understood ring control. She understood damage accumulation. She understood dominance. Bruce Lee, however, refused to be confined by structure. His philosophy of combat emphasized adaptability. He believed no single system held all answers. In his mind, the best technique was the one that worked in the moment. That mindset alone made him unpredictable. When movement began, the first revelation was speed. Not exaggerated speed for spectacle, but efficient acceleration that shortened reaction windows. He did not waste steps. His footwork floated just outside range, forcing adjustments. Where traditional exchanges relied on established rhythms, he broke rhythm deliberately. The queen tested him with probing kicks, calibrated, powerful, designed to measure distance and impose respect. Bruce Lee did not meet force with force. He shifted angles. He intercepted. His counters were not wide swings but direct lines that cut through space with startling precision. What made him different was his ability to read intention before execution, fully unfolded. Slight weight shifts, shoulder tension, breath timing. These cues became signals. He reacted not after impact began but as it formed. To the crowd it appeared almost anticipatory. Inside close range, where Muay Thai fighters often thrive through clinch control and knees, Bruce Lee demonstrated another dimension. He refused prolonged entanglement. Quick strikes disrupted grips before they settled. Short-range punches snapped without telegraph. Elbows were answered not with retreat but with angled repositioning. He did not overpower her physically. He outmaneuvered, strategically. Each exchange became a lesson in efficiency. Where she launched combinations built through traditional sequencing, he responded with minimal but decisive movements. The difference lay in output versus outcome. She delivered volume. He delivered precision. The psychological layer deepened as rounds progressed. The queen was accustomed to imposing her pace. Opponents typically reacted to her. With Bruce Lee, control felt elusive. He neither rushed recklessly nor stalled passively. He operated in a space between aggression and calculation. Crowd noise fluctuated. Cheers when she pressed forward. Gasps when his counters sliced through openings. Bangkok's loyalty did not waver, but curiosity began replacing certainty. This was not a spectacle of domination. It was a study in contrast. Bruce Lee's breathing remained composed. His posture relaxed even under threat. That calm carried weight. It suggested not arrogance, but confidence and adaptability. He adjusted stance height, altered entry timing, mixed linear strikes with sudden angular shifts. The Queen's resilience was undeniable. She absorbed counters and continued pressing. Her conditioning allowed sustained pressure. Yet with each exchange, small realizations accumulated. Her usual rhythm no longer dictated flow. She was reacting more than initiating cleanly. Bruce Lee's philosophy, to absorb what is useful and discard what is not, manifested visibly. He respected her power but did not mirror her style. He met leg kicks with evasive repositioning rather than block-heavy defense. He used feints to draw reactions, then capitalized in fractions of seconds. What truly set him apart was mental elasticity. When a strike landed, he did not dwell. When a tactic met resistance, he altered course. There was no rigid adherence to pre-planned combinations. Combat unfolded as conversation, and he responded fluently. As momentum fluctuated, the arena sensed a shift. This was not tradition collapsing, nor innovation conquering outright. It was demonstration. Bruce Lee proved that mastery did not mean belonging to one method exclusively. It meant understanding core mechanics deeply enough to adapt against any system. The undefeated Queen remained formidable, her legacy unquestioned. But the encounter revealed something profound. Effectiveness transcends labels. Bruce Lee embodied that truth in motion. His strikes were not numerous, they were necessary. His defense was not passive, it was proactive. By the time the intensity peaked, what lingered was not shock, but recognition. He had not entered Bangkok to disrespect Muay Thai. He had entered to test philosophy against reality, and in doing so, he illustrated why he stood apart from conventional fighters of his era. He was not defined by a single tradition. He was defined by the refusal to be limited.